Hades 2's first early access patch dropped yesterday, so let me fill you in on all of the highlights. But before we get into it, remember that Supergiant are so receptive to feedback, so if you have any, make sure that you're sharing it directly with them. They have an official Discord where you can easily report feedback, bugs, and anything else that comes to mind. Oh, and of course, spoilers ahead, but I will refrain from mentioning boss names and major story plot points. Okay, let's start with the biggie. You can now gather any and all resources during runs so long as you've already unlocked the tool for them. I was already emotionally prepared to have to make hundreds of attempts to gather materials, but this makes me so happy. If you'll recall, previously you were only able to choose one tool before an attempt, so you could only gather resources related to that tool. For example, you needed a fishing rod to fish, so if you saw any bubbles in the water when it wasn't selected, then you were out of luck. You will still be able to select gathering tools from the training grounds before you embark, but this will prioritize that resource instead. That means that resources associated with that tool will appear just as often as before, and non-prioritized tools resources will appear less often, which seems like a fair trade in my opinion. Sprinting as Melanoe is faster, and turning is apparently more responsive, and they've also rescaled the abilities that affect your sprint to account for the greater speed. And they've made it so you can dash out of attack recovery animations more reliably, and dash across chasms in Oceanus more easily. All great news. Especially that last one, because there have been so many instances where I came to a complete halt and couldn't understand why I wasn't dashing over to the other side. You'll now be able to see your current gold balance when using a Well of Charon, and I'll be honest, I didn't notice that you couldn't do that, so that's on me. There's also some exciting changes with a certain character that you are introduced to hours into the game, so I'll let you check that for yourself. Entries into the Book of Shadows are easier to reveal. Patch notes will be available to read directly from the main menu, and the Grasp upgrade tutorial in the Altar of Ashes will repeat if ignored. And I'm not gonna lie, it took me ages to realise that I could just scroll across and upgrade my Grasp. Yes, I am that silly. There's also, of course, a bunch of minor bug fixes that I'll pop on the screen. I'll try and remove the ones that have the spoilers in it. The most notable for me is fixing enemies spawning out of bounds, because that was so annoying. And finally, the quote of this patch is from the Orphic hymns to Melanoe. Now plain to the eye, now shadowy, now shining in the darkness, all this in unnerving attacks in the gloom of night. Thank you for listening. I hope you're having the best time with Hades 2.